Welcome to Wrestling History X, where two friends get together and talk about the story behind the matches. I'm Matt.
And I'm Michael.
Welcome to episode 55, WCW New Japan Super Show number 1.
Starrcade 91 in Tokyo, where two countries clash.
The Super Show was better known as Starrcade in Tokyo Dome in Japan. And
they have really cool Starrcade 91 silver jackets.
I know. Inaugural event co-promoted by the New Japan Pro Wrestling and WCW. It took place on March 21st, 1991 at the Tokyo Dome, or Egg Dome as they like to call it back then.
Yeah.
In Tokyo, Japan. But the show wouldn't be shown on pay-per-view to American audiences until April.
So this technically takes place before
WrestleMania. Exactly. But I went by pay-per-view show date.
Yeah. I mean, different companies, doesn't really matter. Close enough. 3-day difference.
And the attendance for the show was 64,500.
Yeah, I don't...
Can we add up the last 12 WCW shows and have they hit this number?
I think you could probably add up every WCW show we've watched.
Maybe they've had a couple 10,000
yeah, that's true.
shows.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know what the Tokyo Dome holds, but at this point in time, in 2019, 2020, getting 40,000 people there for New Japan's big event, for Wrestle Kingdom is that's their target is that. So this is beating that by 24,000 people.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
My God.
Good for you, New Japan and WCW.
No shit.
Whew. So things that were happening around the time of the pay-per-view, Comedy Central was launched on April 1st of that month.
What was their first shows? Were they just showing stand-up?
I think so. I think that's what they...
I mean, back in the day, cable would... early cable aired just about anything to get their hands on.
Pretty much. I mean, right now they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Any favorite Comedy Central shows that you've ever had?
Really big. This is probably not very surprising, but I'm a very big fan of Strangers with Candy.
That one was an interesting one.
It's
I'll definitely say.
I somewhere on a shelf over here, I have the Trapper Keeper DVD box set.
Whoa.
I'm a fan. Although I remember seeing the movie in the theater and it was just too little, too late. It's why did you even make this? I saw it, of course, but that show is one for me for sure.
I know I'm forgetting something from...
A lot of the times it was a lot of reruns, but I
mean, they showed a lot of comedy movies, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of stand-up comedy. I can't think of a specific show right offhand other than At Midnight, because I watched that one religiously.
I don't think I even know what that is.
It was basically a comedy game show where Chris Hardwick showed them clips of stuff, and then the comedians would just make jokes about it.
Yeah.
And
just a place for them to riff.
Basically.
That's cool.
Basically an improv comedy show type thing.
I mean, they used to play all the, a bunch of stand-up stuff. But as far as, original television goes, Stranger with Candy all the way.
I remember Reno 911 was on that channel.
Oh, yeah. I never really got way into that. I watched it
a little bit. I liked it, but it never just, grabbed me.
No.
It was
I watched...
You need to watch me. Amy Schumer show. I loved...
Oh, I never watched it.
I did love Amy Schumer.
We're kind of burying the lead here. It's probably the most consistently good sketch comedy show of all time.
Kids in the Hall.
Oh, I was going to say Chappelle's Show.
Well, Chappelle's Show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Wait a second.
Like I said earlier, I was I know there's shows that I'm just
yeah, I was how did I blank on Chappelle's Show?
Was on
I never
Comedy
watched
Central.
a lot of Key and Peele, but I've seen a handful of skits, and I liked all the ones that I've seen. But, I mean, for me, it's Strangers with Candy. The, Chappelle's Show is... It was a cultural phenomenon and has changed. That's why people say Kobe when they throw fucking trash into a trash can.
Among other reasons that he's not with us anymore.
Oh well, yeah. I wasn't even thinking about that, but the Chappelle Show legitimately brought things into this world that are just normal at this point that nobody even realizes.
Yeah, don't even think about. Also, the TV program Dinosaurs.
Is it? I'm not the mama, not the baby. What does it say?
I'm Not the Baby or something like that.
I don't know. I watched it a little bit when I was a kid. I remember having some Burger King toys.
So I guess you would have been, what, 6 years, 7?
4
years old?
Yeah.
One of those.
It was on TV for a little
numbers.
while. I'm sure that, I don't know how many seasons it did.
I think it did 3 seasons.
I do remember Burger King toys where it had a little, like, what do you call it? It had a little thing where you
Push button?
Yeah, it was a push button, but it was just like air. But it just shot air through like the toy, and then it would do a motion. But yeah, I mean, I've heard that the show holds up pretty well. I had a friend like a decade ago that was like, oh, like going back and watching it, you know, as an adult is pretty funny.
If you can get past the kind of the cheesiness of the costumes,
yeah,
then
it's
yes.
pretty. Yeah, like I've heard the writing is actually pretty funny, but I don't know if I have it in me to be a guy that's been like, hey, you know what I've been watching?
It was one of Jim Henson's last like pet projects before he passed away.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get to the show. We got a hold of the American pay-per-view Turner Home Entertainment videotape.
Yes, this is not on the network, and the whole show is not on New Japan World. So
correct.
At that point, we say, free game. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, whatever.
That is correct.
Yeah.
But the American version shows 7 of the 11 matches. Mm-hmm. They're edited down just a bit.
Yeah, we're here to call it all though.
But we also found the other 4 matches, along with a few of the others, in Japanese on YouTube. But we did also just find, just like right before we started recording.
Yeah, I looked it up, and if you just Google WCW NJPW Supershow 91, then on Google the first videos that come up as you scroll down is part 1 and part 2 links to the US tape.
The US tape.
On like Daily Motion or whatever.
So you really have no excuse not to
watch it all
and join us in the discussion. But the first thing we see is video footage of the competitors before the logo comes on the screen over shots of the Tokyo Dome. Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone welcome us to the show running down the card. And we get footage of a press conference.
Yeah, and a buffet.
They're at a buffet. We see the signings of contracts between Flair and Fujinami, between the Steiners and Hase and Sasaki. Flair and Arn go shopping. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a fun YouTube series.
I do love Arn Anderson in like a black kimono, like looking at himself in the mirror.
But then we head off to our first match of the evening. It's Super Strong Machine and the Blond Outlaws of Hiro Saito, Tatsutoshi Goto, and Norio Honaga versus Animal Hamaguchi, Kengo Kimura, Osamu Kido, and Kantaro Hoshino.
You did so much better than I expected, Matt. I was like, do I need to take the reins? I was curious. That's what I was thinking earlier today, but then I was like, oh no. You started talking, I was like, oh, he's got it.
We'll try it out.
Yeah.
But this match is only on the YouTube version of the video, so it was only in Japanese. Just to let you know, Animal Hamaguchi and Kantaro Hoshino are New Japan Hall of Famers. Yeah. They have a very small Hall of Fame of like 11 people that was run for like 3 years, and then they quit doing it.
It's just Antonio Inoki.
Pretty much. Which we get the fact that Hall of Fames, wrestling Hall of Fames, kind of seem silly.
Yeah.
But when someone recognizes someone as a Hall of Famer, I feel like it's important to...
No reason not to.
Not to throw it out there. They earned it for what they did. So as this match got started, like literally my first note was, gotta admit, I'm not sure who is who, so this will be fun.
Yeah, same. Because it's like, we both said this to each other. I knew who Super Strong Machine was because he's wearing a mask.
Exactly.
But
I knew who he was. And then I figured out who Animal Hamaguchi was. Mm-hmm. But as I got 30 seconds in this match, I went, covering this match and not knowing who these people are is going to be difficult.
You did the work, man. I'm impressed.
I had to go out there and do some image searching and figured out who each person was. So I have the names. So we'll be able to cover it a little bit better.
That being said, I will say that even if this was a pay-per-view on a live pay-per-view, pretty sure this would have been a dark match, whether it was in Japan or in the US.
I don't know if it was in Japan. It would have been the first match on because
you think so?
They love their They love
their
8-man
tags. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess at this point there's no such thing as a dark match on a pay-per-view. They just call it a pre-show. But,
Exactly. So the two teams start brawling right away. Super Strong Machine with a back elbow and a body slam on Animal. Goto continues the attack on Animal, slamming him into a turnbuckle and chops. Honaga with shots to the gut, an eye rake, another head slam into the turnbuckle. Saito comes in with a double axe handle and a drop kick for a 2 count. Saito's running the ropes, gets dumped with a belly-to-belly suplex by Animal for a near fall. Kido comes in with several European uppercuts, starts running the ropes, hits a clothesline for a 2 count. Saito backs Kido into the corner, allowing Super Strong Machine to come in with right hands, a headbutt, snapmare, elbow drop, goes for the vertical suplex, but Kido reverses into an armbar, but Honaga breaks it up. Goto on the attack now with a body slam of Kido. The entire team's working him over. Animal runs in to try and break it up, but this allows Honaga and Saito to crotch Kido on the ring post.
No bueno.
Goto with a knee to the midsection. Honaga with clubbing forearms, eye rakes, but Kido was able to push him over to his corner to be able to make a tag. Hoshino tosses Honaga to the ropes, sidesteps him, and throws him out of the ring. As Honaga climbs back up on the apron, Hoshino hits multiple drop kicks to knock him back to the floor. Back in the ring, Super Strong Machine takes over the attack with a body slam, a head slam into a turnbuckle, another body slam before missing a second rope falling headbutt as Hoshino moves. Animal's in with a body slam, multiple elbow drops. Hoshino comes in to hit a running elbow drop for good measure. Animal and Kido with a double team back elbow. Kido with a double leg takedown and rolls Super Strong Machine over into a Boston Crab until Honaga and Saito come in to break it up. Super Strong Machine and his teammates run a train of back elbows, clotheslines on Kido. Strong Machine and Saito with a spike pile driver, and Saito continues with a snap suplex for a 2 count. Saito then rolls over Kido for a Boston Crab, but Hoshino breaks it up. Goto then runs in to attack Kido, but gets caught in the wrong corner for Kengo to come in, but he's immediately pushed to the other corner by Goto. Goto and Super Strong Machine hit a double team clothesline, and Strong Machine continues with a vertical suplex on Kengo for a near fall. Body slam by Super Strong Machine. Saito with a top rope knee drop, elbow drop. Saito and Goto toss Kengo to the ropes and go for a double team clothesline, but Kengo holds on and moves out of the way. Hoshino's in with a shoulder block and a forearm on Goto, takes him down with an armbar, but Honaga breaks it up. Honaga slams Hoshino's head into a turnbuckle, picks him up to put him on the top rope, climbs up to try for a superplex, but Hoshino knocks Honaga off, coming off the top rope with a crossbody for a near fall. Animal reverses an Irish whip, hits a sling blade, and goes for the cover, but Saito breaks it up. Animal has Honaga up in a fireman's carry when Kido comes off the top rope with a double axe handle to the head. Kido with knees, shoulder tackles, kicks, forearm on Honaga. Super Strong Machine and Kengo both jump in with Kengo trying for a roundhouse kick, but Super Strong Machine catches it, taking him to the mat, hits an Irish whip and follows in with a clothesline. Saito and Goto with a double team Irish whip. Goto charges in with an Irish whipped aided clothesline, but Kengo ducks only to be taken down by a Saito sling blade. Saito with a body slam, Honaga off the second rope with a senton for a 2 count.
I really liked the senton. Senton was fun. I don't know if we've really seen a top rope senton.
I think that might have been the first senton we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, at least the one off of the top rope for sure. It might be the first senton we've seen, yeah.
Goto with a running clothesline, goes for the back suplex, but Kengo reverses to land on top of Goto for a cover. Strong Machine comes off the top rope with a falling headbutt, only hitting Goto as Kengo is moved. Animal in to toss Super Strong Machine to the floor. Kengo with a flying knee to Goto, hits a powerbomb as everyone else jumps in the ring to brawl for the pin, and the Super Strong
Machine
comes flying in to break it up.
It's hard to say Super Strong. I already messed it up and I haven't been talking.
Strong Machine tosses Animal to the floor. Goto with the bridging German suplex, but only a 2 count.
I did like that bridging suplex.
Goto tries for another suplex on Kengo, but can't lift him, so Super Strong Machine comes in with a clothesline, but Kengo ducks, so Goto goes down. Kengo then makes the cover for the pin and the win.
I apologize because I don't know most of these guys, but like my eyes glazed over. Like as you were talking, I was like, I remember there was some cool big moves in here, but
it's still an 8-man tag.
Yeah. Like there's some cool shit in here for sure. Senton, bridging suplex, but like there's a lot of other like neat stuff in here, but it ultimately doesn't have a lot of weight.
Correct.
That's all.
So we're off to our second match of Flyin Brian Pillman, Tom Zink, the Z-Man, and Tim Horner versus Shiro Koshinaka, Kuniaki Kobayashi, and Takayuki Iizuka.
That's not the Iizuka of the Iron Claw.
It is.
It is? Why does he look... I feel like that he looks shorter here than he does as he's older. Maybe it's just that bald hair and that crazy beard. But I was like, it's got to be Iizuka. But I was like, I'll ask Matt.
It is the same guy. This match is only on the American version of the video.
That's kind of a shame. We got Pillman and Zink and Tim Horner. They wanted to get 3 guys on
basically.
Here. Maybe like have we
I think Horner's worked some Japanese.
Yeah, I'd assume so. Have we even seen Tim Horner before?
We have seen him.
I knew the name, but I couldn't put a name to the show. It might have been
the last time we saw Tim Horner was actually Clash of the Champions 12, which was episode 48. So it's only been a few shows ago. Kuniaki Kobayashi is a New Japan Hall of Famer. And then JR tells us this match is under New Japan rules. So there's a 20 count on the outside.
Hell yeah.
And you can throw people over the top rope.
Oh my God.
And every match, other than the main event, will be under these rules.
Yes.
And as you mentioned...
I live to bury the top rope.
Iizuka has not gotten his Iron Glove yet.
Iizuka. They always say Iizuka.
Iizuka?
Yeah, it's 2 eyes.
I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah. No, he definitely has not got his... I don't know when he gets this...
It's probably a good 10 years.
Yeah. It's definitely like at least the late 90s, I'd imagine. Yeah. Because he had the tag team with...
Iizuka.
Okay.
Yeah. Match starts off with Kobayashi with an arm drag of Z-Man, slams his head into the turnbuckle, Irish whip, followed in with a back cross body.
Yeah, it works. Slam him down to their face, right?
It worked. Ab stretch is locked on by Kobayashi, but Horner comes in to break it up. Pillman with a flying clothesline goes for a cover, but Iizuka makes the save. Koshinaka and Kobayashi split the wishbone of Flying Brian, followed by a hip attack, but Pillman fires back with a spinning heel kick.
The hip attack or the butt attack?
Butt attack.
I can't remember. JR makes a reference.
He makes a butt.
Oh yeah, butt. Yeah, he also JR informs the American audience that the crowd is not bored. In Japan, this is an art form, so they sometimes react at unusual times. I was like, no, they react at all the right times for sure, but yeah, they are more quiet because they're paying attention.
Horner comes in with a side suplex, Flying Brian with an axe handle to the arm, stereo drop kicks from Pillman and Z-Man on Koshinaka, which knock him towards his corner. Iizuka is tossed to the ropes and picked up by Z-Man, where Brian comes flying in with a drop kick into a spine buster. Zink rolls to the apron, where Pillman slingshots him onto Iizuka for the cover, but Kobayashi makes the save. Flying Brian sets Iizuka up on the top turnbuckle, hits a drop kick descending to the floor, and Pillman comes off the top rope with a crossbody to the outside.
Hell yeah. I mean...
He's Flying Brian.
Yeah, I mean, Pillman and Z-Man, always good together. And they haven't been in a while. Because they've been on their like singles deals. Of course, fortunately, that means Z-Man starts shows over in the old US of A, but he's not the worst guy to be in your first match.
No, he's definitely not. Back in the ring, Horner with a snap suplex, a back suplex, slams Iizuka's head on the turnbuckle. Tim hits a backbreaker, followed by Flying Brian coming off the top rope with an elbow drop for a 2 count. Z-Man with a missile drop kick and goes for the cover, but Kobayashi breaks up the pin. Zink hits a body slam, and Horner comes off the top rope with a reverse crossbody that looks really bad for a near fall. Horner with a snapmare, a knee drop on the head of Iizuka. Pillman with a reverse thrust kick and a double team toss into a double team spinning kick. Z-Man then hits a pile driver, but Iizuka grabs the ropes on the pin attempt. Flyin, Bryan, and Iizuka get into a chop fest, and Iizuka hits multiple drop kicks, but Pillman retaliates with a spinning heel kick. Bryan and Horner go for a double team clothesline, but Iizuka ducks, coming back off the ropes to hit a double drop kick. Koshinaka comes in with a hip attack on Z-Man, another on Tim. Kobayashi comes in to hit a bridging German suplex on Horner for the pin, and Pillman breaks it up. Everyone's brawling in the ring. Koshinaka throws Zink and Bryan through the ropes to the floor. Iizuka comes off the top with a shotgun drop kick.
Hell yeah, I love a
hitting
shotgun.
a bridging dragon suplex for the pin and the win.
This is good as hell. The only thing that I wished is that
Tim Horner wasn't there.
Yeah, that it was just a tag instead of a 3-man, like a traditional tag. But it's still not really much to complain about here.
No, definitely not.
You like suplexes? Watch every single match of this show, really.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah. You know how I said 91 is the year of the atomic drop? In Japan, it's the year of the fucking suplex, and they do them all. They do all of them, and some you've never seen before.
Bridging
yes.
dragon suplex.
Yes. After we've already seen 2 bridging Germans.
We're off to our third match. We got Scott Norton versus the Equalizer.
Equalizer just looks like if
Near you grew a long hair and a beard and got in the ring.
I was gonna say if Kevin Sullivan grew 4 inches and stopped eating fast food. But yeah.
But this match is only on the YouTube version of this episode. Equalizer's running the ropes, trying to knock Norton down. But
Scott Flash Norton, by the way. He's got a little nickname in there. It says it on his trunks. He's a big old boy, and obviously he's been in Japan because he's pretty over.
Yeah, he does end up in WCW later on because I remember seeing Scott Norton, but I never saw any of his Japanese stuff.
Yeah, he's a big old boy.
Definitely. Equalizer's running the ropes trying to knock Norton down, but then Scott runs the ropes, hitting several shoulder tackles, a clothesline, a big boot, another clothesline, clubbing forearms across the neck, an Irish whip, but charges into a boot. Norton is then taken down with a big boot by the Equalizer, who continues to put the boots to Scott until Norton catches one, taking him down for an elbow drop. But the Equalizer moves. Scott tosses the Equalizer to the ropes, hits a shoulder tackle, elbows to the head, a flying shoulder tackle, a short arm clothesline for the pin, but he picks him up.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're the Equalizer, I'm the Equalizer.
So then Norton hits a terrible-looking power slam for the pin and the win.
And all I can say is I feel bad for Scott Norton having to deal with somebody that does not know how to work.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that Scott Norton can power slam the shit out of just about anybody if that person has any idea how to take a power slam. The Equalizer.
I don't know if we ever hear of the Equalizer ever again.
I mean, I hope that he had a successful life, not in wrestling. Because this is real bad, and I know it's not Norton's fault. Because you can tell.
We then see JR and Tony. They discuss the upcoming match, telling us about 2 Japanese legends. So we're off to that 4th match. We have Akira Nogami versus Jushin Thunder Liger.
Oh my god.
For the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship.
Hell yeah. And Liger comes out in like a crazy like green Power Ranger type garb. I'm so used to the red. It looks great. I mean, I've seen the blue one. I've seen the black one. I've seen the red one. I've even seen that one with like the really weird mask. That's got like slits or whatever. It kind of looks like a window shades.
Yeah.
But yeah, the green one hadn't seen before. It looks good, but I mean, it is kind of like the coolest costume.
But this match only ended up on the American version.
Why would they do that?
That I didn't understand.
That makes no sense.
But the YouTube version does have a part 2. I just couldn't find it.
Oh, okay.
So the other matches may be on that part 2.
Yeah, because all the matches that we needed were in that part 1.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
So Jushin Thunder Liger is a Wrestling Observer newsletter and future WWE Hall of Famer. He just he was supposed to go into the Hall of Fame in WWE this year.
Yeah, when is this year of our Lord 2020?
Yes.
Do they do it for?
He technically would have already been a Hall of Famer by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah.
But
okay.
The Hall of Fame ceremony got moved back to August of 2020.
Yeah.
Because
they're doing it like for SummerSlam or something.
Yeah, they're doing it at SummerSlam this year because of all the craziness in the world. So
COVID 2020.
Akira wears a kabuki style mask.
He's got like crazy long red
hair.
It looks pretty awesome.
It does look really cool. Match gets going and Liger blitzes right away with palms to the chest, followed by a spinning heel kick to send Nogami to the outside. Jushin comes off with a top rope with a somersault plancha.
Come on, man.
Liger goes for another plancha, but is drop kicked out of midair by Akira.
Come on, man.
And both men have leg injuries.
Yes.
Back in the ring, Nogami jumps on Jushin's shoulders, but Liger reverses into a pin attempt for a 2 count.
And I believe that this is Akira Nogami showing up for the first time in a year after he lost the belt to Liger.
Correct.
So like this is hot shit. Like this is important stuff.
Jushin goes for a tombstone piledriver, but the ankle gives out, and Akira jumps on the miscue, attacking it.
He stomps the shit out of his leg, yeah.
Nogami's going for a figure 4, but Liger cradles him for a near fall. Akira, with multiple drop kicks, goes to the top rope, misses the splash as Jushin steps out of the way. A couple of Liger bombs. Jushin then goes for a piledriver, but Nogami blocks, so Liger hits a clothesline. Jushin then sets Akira on the top rope, hitting an avalanche DDT for the pin and the win. So the version we got is only about 4 minutes long.
It felt really quick. Since I was taking notes, I probably missed the edit.
This is when I realized that some of these matches were edited down.
Yeah, I wonder. I'd like to watch this whole match because I was like, why is this so short? Because this is really good. And then I was like, why would this end so quickly? That doesn't feel very
So I believe the match,
Japanese wrestling to me.
The match was 16 minutes long.
And we saw like 4.
And we saw 4 minutes of it.
Oh, man.
I mean, a lot of that other 12 minutes was probably the leg work.
I don't care. The leg work.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I
know. I'm upset because I want to see it.
I wanted to see more of it too.
Yeah,
believe me.
Because the leg thing. It seemed like it was really soon to be selling the leg like that, and I was like, weird. And now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
But I was like, there should be more time here. But I didn't catch the edit while I was watching it because I was probably taking notes.
4 minutes.
I was taking notes.
Are awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a great match.
It's good shit.
If you never watched Jushin Thunder Liger,
yeah.
This isn't the worst match to have as your first one to ever see him in.
No, not at all. I mean, his first match on the first match opening Nitro is him and Pillman.
That's right.
Inside of the Mall of America, for Christ's sake, and it rules.
I mean, you can watch his last match on January 5th, 2020, and still go.
Why is this guy retiring right now?
This is fucking Jushin Thunder Liger.
Mm-hmm. He's lucky that It's great to see somebody that's like, oh, I'm done now, and not just like become a husk of themselves. Like, granted, he's older, but like when he needs to go, he can go.
Exactly.
Or he could go all the way to the end.
So we're headed off to our 5th match: the Horsemen of Arn Anderson and Barry Windham versus Masa Saito and Masahiro Chono. And this one is actually available on both versions. I think the Japanese version doesn't edit as much, so you get to see a little bit more of the match.
Yeah, I watched the U.S. version. I will say that the U.S. version that I had better video quality. Sure. It had the U.S. commentary, American commentary, which doesn't English commentary, which doesn't really. I mean, I don't care either way because it's Tony Schiavone and JR. What are they going to say that's funny or particularly enlightening? The funny things they're going to say are going to be probably pretty stupid.
Probably. But we watched the American version so we could understand the commentary.
Yeah, also that way, we can poke fun at JR and Tony every chance we get.
But Masahiro Chono is a Wrestling Observer newsletter Hall of Famer.
We've already seen Saito, so.
We have seen. We saw Saito in Starrcade.
We know he's
literally the last WCW show we watched.
Yeah. I love that JR describes Masa Saito as basically a Japanese Rick Steiner, because
That's
I was like, I was like, oh, that's
that.
I just buried JR, and here I am saying, oh, you know what, that's pretty good for people that haven't seen him wrestle before. Why not?
Our listeners know we bury JR all the time.
He buries himself every time he shows up on TV at this point.
They do tell us that this is Arn's first time in Japan.
Oh, maybe that's
I don't know if that's truth or kayfabe. I'm not sure. I didn't look it up. But I did have this question.
Mm-hmm.
What was this haircut and mustache decision by Wyndham? Because it did not look good.
What is he has? He has like blonde hair,
bleach blonde hair, and then the regular
brown mustache.
It does not look good.
Yeah, looks like he just smeared a Snickers across his lip.
Match gets going, and Barry takes Chono to his corner early on, delivering a cheap shot and a snapmare. But Masahiro reverses into a hammerlock to take Wyndham to his corner. Saito and Anderson both with shoulder blocks, with no one gaining an advantage. Masa takes Double A down, but Arn kicks him off. And Wyndham comes in with a top rope axe handle, a body slam, and goes for a jumping elbow drop, but Saito moves. Chono and Barry going toe-to-toe with right hands until Wyndham hits a Saito suplex and a hip toss, but Masahiro reverses it into a head scissors. And JR makes a big deal about that suplex because that's something that Saito always does. Mm-hmm. And you had Wyndham doing it
to himself, yeah.
Doing it to them.
Also, JR talks a little bit about tape trading, which I thought was kind of funny.
I know.
I was like, all right, cool.
How do you think we got this video, JR? Jumping DDT by Barry on Chono. Anderson with the body slam goes to the top, but Masahiro is up to press slam him off, followed by a top rope flying shoulder tackle to take Arn down. Chono going for the STF, but Wyndham makes the save, but he gets a drop kick descending to the floor, followed by a tope suicido by Masahiro. Double A is locked into an ab stretch by Chono, but again Barry breaks it up. Wyndham with a vertical suplex of Masahiro slams his head into the turnbuckle, and Arn locks on an ab stretch, but the horsemen use leverage, grabbing hold of each other's hand, but the ref is right on top of it. Double A tosses Chono to the ropes, ducks his head, allowing Masahiro to kick him and make the tag. But Anderson just continues the attack on Saito.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Normally it doesn't go that way.
Masa showing his strong style by firing up with rights and lefts.
Yes.
Saito suplex on Arn. Saito suplex on Wyndham. Double A's back to his feet and goes for a body slam, but Masa floats over, and Barry comes off the ropes to hit a clothesline on Saito. So Anderson makes the cover for the pin and the win. Post-match, Chono hits an Enziguri on Barry to help clear the ring.
Yeah, and this is good, but it never really reached the heights of tag drama, but that's probably because it's edited down.
It probably was edited down. I'm sure it was edited down some.
Yeah.
I felt like this may be the worst I've ever seen Arn in a match.
I mean, this is not...
It just didn't feel like he connected with what was happening in the match.
Yeah, he probably... I mean...
First time in Japan,
also,
that many people.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but, he probably hasn't tagged with these people before. And sometimes some people don't mesh no matter how...
That's true.
No matter how good they are.
JR and Tony then talk about the concession stand food. It's not your typical hot dog. They got sushi, egg rolls, and sake to go.
Yeah. I like they even show, the menu.
We then, on the YouTube version, we get Antonio Inoki making a speech to the crowd.
Yeah, which is edited out, which is weird. I mean, it's not that weird because they probably don't want to translate it.
And since neither of us speaks Japanese, and the video we watched didn't have English subtitles, we're not real sure all what he said. But all of a sudden, after this speech, a guy from the outside joins him in the ring. And he takes Inoki down with a body slam, some stomps, a senton.
Oh, I didn't watch
Goes for another body slam.
Oh, my God.
But Inoki floats over and locks on an octopus hold before turning it into a suplex of some sort. More guys coming in from the outside. I'm assuming it's the Young Lions.
I hit pause and I just skipped through this. I'm excited.
But Inoki lays them out as well. It felt like maybe it was a workout to show that Inoki's
still got it
and ready to go. I wasn't quite sure, because after all that, Inoki takes the mic back and leads the crowd in a chant.
Yeah, so they don't say you didn't find out who the guy was? Or
I couldn't figure out who.
Did it look like a wrestler?
I mean, it did look like a wrestler.
Yeah.
But like I said, it didn't seem like it was like, heel coming in to attack
Yeah,
him.
It wasn't like setting up an angle or anything.
It felt almost like it was a workout type thing. I didn't get it. But we'll head back to our American version of the tape.
Yep. Oh, so JR lets us know that the food might be different, but in Japan, brewski, still brewski.
Still brewski.
I can't imagine going to like the Tokyo Dome in '91 and be like, "Hey, can I get a brewski and a salmon roll?"
You know, JR and Tony aren't drinking those strong zeros.
No, of course not. I'm too busy ordering Bud Lights in the Tokyo Dome. It's like, no, Asahi,
You know they're
Sapporo.
all Milwaukee guys.
Oh, you think so? Man.
At least JR is.
Is he really?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But we're off to our 6th match of Big Cat versus El Gigante. And this match is only on the American version.
It is a match.
So far, the best reaction for any of the WCW guys has actually been for El Gigante.
Because he's huge, and I guess they just assume that because he's huge, he's good. Maybe it's the Baba love, maybe it's the Andre love, maybe it's because in Japan, on average, they're shorter than in other countries, and then in some other countries, but at the very least, El Gigante is, like what, 7'7" or some shit like that.
And JR and Tony make some comments about the ring announcer wearing the kimono, and they're like, I wonder if we can get Gary Michael Capetta to wear a kimono at Super Brawl next month.
Yeah, they let us know that El Gigante doesn't drink. And they had to explain that when they were doing press conferences and stuff, that he wasn't being disrespectful, but
He just
doesn't
doesn't
drink. Which is probably not very common for a wrestler.
The ref in this match is Bill Alfonso.
I know.
Who we better known probably as Rob Van Dam's manager in ECW.
Yeah. He reffed in ECW too, didn't he?
Yeah. He
Okay,
did.
yeah. Think this is the first time we've seen him, right?
I believe so.
Because it's like I would have recognized Bill Alfonso because you can't get that whistle out of your head after watching even the smallest amount of ECW.
So Alfonso's checking Gigante's boots and tights and the 2 measure hands to show how big Gigante is.
Yeah.
Give the crowd a little pop. Gigante's bouncing around as the 2 men lock up, only for Big Cat to be thrown down. Body slam by Gigante. The Cat retaliates with an eye rake, right hands, but nothing is phasing Gigante. The big man fires back with clubbing forearms across the back, hits a vertical suplex, hits a jumping kick, and locks on the claw for the pin and the win.
And I know I've said it to you off mic, but Gigante is like happier than like a pig in shit. It's like a 3-year-old's birthday party. Like he is pumped at just the amount of people that are there and the reaction that he's getting, and it's makes me feel real good inside, even though this match was useless.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe it sold some tickets because they were pumped for him.
I mean, I was always a Big Cat fan. But
were you? I mean, come on. This is what, our third Big Cat match?
I think it's our third.
Yeah.
He's with the State Patrol last time we saw him.
Okay, and before that it was him, Dog, and JYD.
No,
that was the State Patrol?
That was the State Patrol match.
I don't remember.
That tells you where he's at on the old WCW card.
Yeah, they just fed him to El Gigante.
So we're headed off to our 7th match. We got the Steiner brothers of Rick and Scott Steiner versus Hiroshi Hase and Kazuki Sasaki for the WCW World and IWGP Tag Team Championships.
Woo. Double. It's Kensuke. I think so.
Yeah,
no, it's Kensuke. Kensuke, sorry. Says
I mean,
you nailed Hiroshi Hase.
Thank you. This match is actually on both versions, and I believe the full version of the match is on both versions. Hase and Sasaki are Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Famers, as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
So the Steiners, last time we saw them, were the WCW United States champion. But they had also defeated the Freebirds for the world title 6 days prior to Wrestle War when the Freebirds had won them. If you remember that whole Freebirds
It's
losing,
like, it wasn't on TV.
Losing the belts before they actually won them. So At this point, the Steiners hold all the tag team belts in WCW. Both belts.
Both of them.
Both of them. And they're now challenging for the IWGP Tag Team Championship as well.
Just so you know.
Just so you know. So the match gets going. Scott takes Hase down and tries to lock in a Texas Cloverleaf, but Hiroshi rolls over to get close enough to get the ropes to break it up. Belly-to-belly suplex by Scott, goes for a body slam, but Hase floats over and attempts an Okada roll. But Steiner holds onto the ropes and comes off with a clothesline, which Hiroshi ducks. So Hase comes off the ropes, hitting a back kick and a clothesline to take Scott to the floor. Sasaki running the ropes, Rick with the leapfrog, goes for a second one, but Kazuke catches him, delivering a power slam, a bulldog, and a clothesline that almost takes Steiner's head off.
My God.
Scott in with a pump handle slam on Hase, sets Hiroshi on the top rope, coming off with a super Olympic slam.
What's that?
The angle slam.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Rick picks up Hase in a gut wrench suplex, but sits him on his shoulder and runs him face first into the turnbuckle, followed by a Steiner line. Scott with a belly-to-belly suplex, a DDT. Rick sets Hiroshi on the top rope and hits a super belly-to-belly suplex, an elbow drop, and goes for the cover, but Sasaki makes the save.
Like, I don't think we've watched a match that's just power move after power move after power move, right?
No.
It's suplex, clothesline, different suplex, bulldog, clothesline, two suplexes in a row.
Super belly-to-belly,
Yeah.
super Olympic slam. It's like...
Gut wrench. Come on. It's... Welcome to Suplex City, guys.
The Steiners work together to hit a
Population
clothesline.
4.
Scott with a tiger driver for the pin, but again Kazuke makes a save. Hase's tossed to the ropes. Both Steiners duck their heads, allowing Hiroshi to kick Scott and a Uranagi on Rick. Scott comes back to try a Steiner line, but Hase ducks and hits a Uranagi on him as well to make it to his corner for the hot tag. Sasaki with drop kicks to both Steiners. Power slam on Rick, goes for the cover, but Scott makes a save.
Was that when he did the split drop kick? Or were they normal drop kicks?
That was the split.
Okay, I love that. Just saying. Where, you do the drop kick on both the guys, but you one leg for each guy. Yeah. I just love that spot.
Kenzuke with a running power slam. Hase has climbed to the top rope where Sasaki vertical suplexes him right onto Rick.
It's like, what a hell of a fucking special.
Hiroshi then with a Northern Lights suplex, while Scott just stands over in his corner like he knew Rick was going to kick out.
Yeah.
Even though JR tells us that no one kicks out of a Northern Lights suplex.
Yeah. That one was a little too telegraphed, but whatever.
Hase goes for a clothesline, but Rick ducks when Hiroshi comes back off the crowd, allowing Hase to make the tag. Sasaki's tossed to the ropes, but Scott ducks his head, allowing himself to be DDT'd. Kazuke picks Scott up into the electric chair, while Hase goes to the top rope. When Rick comes in to kick Sasaki, allowing Scott to try for a cradle, but he doesn't hang on. Rick then press slams Hiroshi off the top rope. Scott picks Kenzuke up into the electric chair when Rick comes off the top rope for the bulldog. Scott then tosses Suzuki to the ropes, hits the Frankensteiner for the pin and the win. And new! Post-match, the Steiners would receive large trophies along with the belts.
Yeah.
And the Steiners would become the first Americans to win the IWGP Tag Team belts and the first team to hold all 3 titles at the same time.
But not the only team to do that?
I don't know about the last one. They might be the only one to ever be
I just think that's kind of
champions.
crazy. Yeah, just saying. Because I know that, WCW has a relationship with New Japan for a very, very long time.
They do. Dave Meltzer would name this match Match of the Year for 1991.
Well, so that means we don't have to watch any more
Even
911
though
pay-per-views?
he didn't even give it 5 stars.
Really?
It was 4.5, and there was like 3 or 4 other 5-star matches this year.
Really?
Which I thought was...
Is that just because of, psychology?
No clue. I mean, I would probably knock it down at least a quarter star just for that one camera shot where Scott's standing over in the corner.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed that shit.
I was like, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. But I mean, this is...
But the rest of the match?
You can put this up next to like any tag match today and it still fucking rules.
It does.
And it rules just as hard or harder than anything today, tomorrow, or yesterday. I would show this to somebody that's not into wrestling. Anyone, yeah.
I would show it to anyone.
I'd be like, hey, mom, watch this.
If you like this.
Yeah.
If you don't like this, then you're just not going to like wrestling.
No. It's, like I said, Suplex City, population 4. It's crazy.
It is very, very good. Let's just say it's on the short list for our next for our best matches of.
But my only note after the last match, after the Steiner Brothers match, was this is wrestling. In quotations, I was like, "This is wrestling." I was like, "It's like, oh, that's all I can say about that match." Yeah, exactly. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was like, "Oh, that's the only note I had after that match was this is wrestling." That's good.
Really
that's
really
neat. That's.
I would have been okay with a "This is awesome" chant during that match because it was fucking awesome.
It was all of the above.
So we're headed off to our 8th match, Doom of Ron Simmons and Butch Reed versus Big Van Vader and Crusher Bam Bam Bigelow. This match is only on our YouTube version.
Which I feel like is kind of weird because everybody knows who all 4 of these guys are in the United States.
I thought the same thing.
Granted, I know that Bam Bam and Vader have been partying in Japan for quite a while, but still.
No clue. But we haven't seen Bam Bam since Capital Combat, which was episode 45.
The best show we ever watched, Capital Combat. Return of RoboCop.
Real close to the best show. Irony.
Yeah, I hope you can hear that I'm being facetious.
So Ron Simmons takes the mic and says they signed this match months ago and is ready to fight and hope his partner feels the same way.
It's like, that's a weird thing to say.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because at the last show,
I know.
Doom broke up.
I know. And that's why it's weird that Doom's here now. But, we'll see some stuff. Some things will happen.
Exactly.
There's a reason why this might only be on the Japanese version.
That's probably the reason why, right?
Yeah,
there.
Exactly.
So Reed and Vader start off by pounding away on each other until a clothesline by Vader takes Butch down. A short arm clothesline, Irish whip by Vader, but Reed charges out of the corner with a clothesline and a body slam. Simmons is tossed to the ropes by Vader and ducks a clothesline, turns to hit right hands and a spine buster, and goes for a pin, but Bam Bam makes the save. Bigelow's in to pound on the back of Ron and goes for a big boot, but Simmons catches his foot, which allows Bam Bam to hit an enziguri. Reed comes into the ring to receive a drop kick from Bigelow, who turns his attention back towards Simmons to finally hit a vertical suplex. Bam Bam with an Irish whip of Ron charges in with a splash, and Vader's in with a splash as well. Falling headbutt by Bigelow, Vader with clothesline and a body slam, Bam Bam off the top rope with a headbutt, but Simmons moves.
So it's a rough headbutt.
Ron goes for a shoulder tackle to no avail, and Butch comes in and they attempt a double clothesline, but Bigelow ducks and comes off the rope with a double clothesline of his own.
You gotta be a big boy to drop Doom.
Bam Bam's running the ropes when Reed pulls the top rope down to send Bigelow over to the floor. Simmons with a body slam on the floor before rolling Bam Bam back in. Doom then hits double back elbows. Butch goes for a snapmare when Bigelow reverses into a snap suplex, but Reed regains control with an eye rake. Reed with a swinging neckbreaker, Ron with clubbing forearms, a body slam, falling headbutt, but Bam Bam moves. Butch back in to stop the tag and starts choking Bigelow with the top rope. Tosses him but ducks his head, allowing Bam Bam to kick him. Simmons comes in with an elbow drop, goes for a body slam, but Bigelow cradles him for a near fall. Ron's firing back with right hands, goes for a cover, but Vader breaks it up with an elbow drop. Reed with the body slam of Bam Bam goes to the second rope, coming off with an elbow drop for a 2 count. Simmons continues the attack right
with the right hands.
A drop kick, tosses Bigelow to the ropes, drops down to the mat, but Bam Bam quits running and drops a headbutt on the back of Ron. Bigelow with a snap suplex, Vader with a clothesline on Ron, multiple short arm clotheslines on Butch, goes for another clothesline, but Reed ducks, retaliating with right hands and a flying shoulder tackle for a near fall. Simmons with a power slam of Vader. Doom hits a double-team vertical suplex, and Ron goes after Bam Bam, who back body drops him out of the ring. Simmons then drags Bigelow out of the ring by his boots. Reed climbs to the top rope to go for a flying shoulder tackle, but Vader ducks, hits the Vader splash in the middle of the ring for the pin and the win. So post-match, we see Simmons and Butch commiserating. When Ron turns to leave, Butch hits him from behind, and they brawl until Reed has fallen out of the ring.
Now they're breaking up in Japan. They got back together just to break up again.
All around the world, Doom is no more.
I know. Kind of a bummer. Honestly, this match is not bad, but it should not have been after the other match.
Oh, after the Steiner Brothers match? Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah. But these are big boys doing big boy stuff.
Correct.
So it's a fun watch, but how are you going to do a tag match after Suplex City?
The biggest surprise on this match was that just how much Vader sold for Doom. Which, I mean, to do you got. Yeah,
I mean, how are you not going to sell for Butch Reed and Ron Simmons? Like those guys are gigantic, and they're not even fat. Like, not only are they gigantic, they have zero body fat. They are just big buff guys.
So we're headed off to our 9th match. We got Riki Choshu versus Tiger Jeet Singh in a no DQ, no ref, no count out match for the Greatest 18 Club Championship.
I didn't catch all that. The Greatest 18 Club, is that like never open weight?
So the Greatest 18 Club Championship was established as a way of honoring the Hall of Fame that was conceived of at that time. So this is a Hall of Fame that was even before the New Japan Hall of Fame.
But there could only be 18, so once if you were number 19, then one of them got kicked out.
That I don't know exactly, because there was names such as Luthez, Karl Gotch, Andre the Giant, Stan Hansen, Hiro Matsuda, Vern Gagne, Hulk Hogan, Antonio Inoki, and Tiger Jeet Singh was actually a part of it, but then was replaced by Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it was you had to be the Greatest 18.
Yeah. That's fun. It's a fun idea.
Not real sure exactly.
Yeah. Tiger Jeet Singh is basically like a tiny Abdul the Butcher.
I was going to say younger version of Sheik.
Well, yeah, but except for Sheik did some wrestling.
Well, yeah.
And that's why I said Abdullah, because Abdullah doesn't do wrestling.
That's true. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but gimmick-wise, Sheik for sure.
Gotcha. This match is only on the Japanese YouTube version.
Totally understandable. I can't see this airing in the United States.
No, definitely not.
This is pretty brutal for even NWA standards.
Yeah. Choshu is a Wrestling Observer newsletter Hall of Famer. Singh would come in through the crowd, kind of like what John Moxley does nowadays.
Or, well, I guess he doesn't come through the crowd. He just terrorizes them.
Terrorizing people. Yeah. He's throwing guardrails. Minoru Suzuki's another good current day.
He's got, like a gold robe on, and he's got, like, a sword.
It's a fencing sword.
And he's just, like, swinging it around, and, it's pretty violent looking, even though it is what it is, but it's like, he's really...
People are running for their lives when he's coming towards
he's, legitimately just, throwing chairs, and it's great.
And he was followed by a masked man, which, by the end, I figured out was Super Strong Machine. So they must
I caught that, too. The purple mask. It's like, oh, they're, heel boys.
There was a young lion at ringside that you may have recognized.
I did not recognize him, but who was it?
He's one of the dads now in New Japan.
Is it Tenzan?
It was Tenzan.
Pre-Tenzan mask? I guess he doesn't wear the mask now.
He didn't wear the mask now.
Yeah, but this is before he wore the mask.
Exactly.
Later.
So when they finally get around ringside, Choshu comes out to start attacking Singh, but Tiger starts choking out Riki. Finally in the ring, Singh still has the sword in his hand, using it as a weapon on top of Choshu's head. And Tiger then starts untying the turnbuckle pads.
I think he gets 3 of them. I don't know if he gets all 4.
I only thought he got 2.
Yeah. Either way, he gets 2 or 3, but it's the Japanese turnbuckles, so it's just like one pad that goes in. But he's untying the top, and then he's pushing it out of the way so the turnbuckle will be exposed. He's not taking it completely off.
Sting's then biting at Riki's face, choking him with a rope, and Choshu is busted open. Tiger stays on the offensive with punches, kicks, slamming Riki's head into multiple turnbuckles. Choshu starts firing back, slamming Sting's head on the turnbuckle and a kick descending to the outside.
Is this kind of like closest thing? I mean, this is a little bit more wild, but the Funk Flair brawl.
This is probably the closest thing we've seen to that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit more kind of
brutal.
Yeah, high energy. It's weird. Yeah, well, it's not the most amount of blood we've seen in WCW
Definitely not.
or NWA or JCP, but
Riki follows out, slamming Tiger's head against multiple ring posts, grabs the sword from ringside and starts using it as a weapon, and one more time into the ring post for good measure.
And yeah, when he uses the sword, it's just the hilt. He just keeps slamming them in the head with the hilt, because it's like the hilt's like that typical
solid
hand cover. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a Halloween prop, but
it definitely looks. Back in the ring, Choshu charges into a foreign object aided right hand by Sting, and Tiger goes after the cut on Riki's head with that object as well. Choshu muscles the foreign object away and uses it on a clothesline to take Sting down and bust him open.
It was weird. I was like, is that just like Abdullah fork type thing? It was kind of hard to tell. Yeah. But I mean, it was basically like the size of a pen or something. I did like how Choshu held his hand down onto the mat and pried it from him.
Multiple low blow stomps by Riki to the crowd's approval, but Tiger retaliates with a low blow of his own and returns to biting. Several ensiguris by Choshu clothesline to the back, and the announcer starts counting. He makes it to 10, and the bell rings.
That's when I found out that it was a last man standing match.
That's exactly what I found out as well.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that makes more sense considering what I just watched. I kind of wish I would have known, but it was.
I didn't even know about the no ref, no DQ, no count out until afterwards when I was looking on something else for some information.
I didn't know that it was for a title of any kind.
Because neither one of them's the title literally just came into effect, so I think they didn't have the belt yet, basically. It was all very
haphazard.
Not understanding. It didn't help that we didn't understand Japanese as well.
But this was by any means not boring. Can't call it that. No. I also don't know if you can call it a traditional rule. I mean, wrestling is two guys fighting and somebody wins, so you can't not call this wrestling. But there's not a whole lot of wrestling moves done here.
So actually, I was wrong. This was actually the first match for this belt.
Oh, okay.
So technically, Riki Choshu.
And first. I was like, what do you set me up for here?
Greatest 18 club champion.
My God. Great.
It's such a long name.
It probably sounds better in Japanese.
Probably does.
The Tiger Singh does not look like an athlete at all.
He looks like an Iranian dad.
Yeah, well, he's just got his
Indian dad.
There's guys with bellies in singlets, and it normally hides the belly. In this, it looks like a Simpsons character, but belly wise, it's just a straight it's very funny. He does not look to be in any more shape. He's in 10%, maybe 8% better shape than I am. It's pretty. I was like, okay.
So post-match, Choshu locks on an armbar, and the Young Lions come in to break it all up. And that's the end of the YouTube version.
Yeah.
So we get video highlights from the matches on that before it cuts away.
Yeah, I imagine that. I think that it was aired on television over 2 nights.
Probably. So
I think that's what the deal was for the Japanese version.
So then we're off to our 10th match. Great Muta versus Sting. And obviously it's only on the American version. So Muta attacks before the bell. Muta attacks before the bell. Hits a handspring back elbow after an Irish whip. Tony then brings up all the people around the ring with the Steiners, Brian Pillman on one side, Masahiro Chono's
everybody's there to watch
other.
This. I mean, this is a solid feud, and we have already gotten some mist, correct, before the bell.
Yes, Muta did spray green mist before the match. Muta then with a backbreaker goes to the top rope for the moonsault.
Tries the moonsault immediately,
but Sting moves,
which we all know to be his finisher.
But Muta lands on his feet and goes for a spinning heel kick, which the Stinger no-sells, but an enziguri surprises him to send Sting to the floor.
Hell yeah, dude. What a start.
Muta over the top rope with a plancha, spits some red mist, and rolls the Stinger back into the ring. Muta goes to the top rope, coming off with a double axe handle, but Sting catches him with a boot, hits a military press, dumping him over the top rope to the floor, followed by a running pescado by the Stinger.
Which I don't know if we've seen Sting do some reckless shit like that.
I think we've seen it a couple times. But
maybe it just feels better in a 64-person or 64,000 people arena, and feels better that it's against Muta.
And JR reminds us that over the top rope is okay in this match, but not in the next one.
You know what I just realized? Where's Lex?
He was actually scheduled to fight Riki Choshu.
Oh, okay.
But the language in his WCW contract said that he did not have to go to Japan to fight.
Oh, so he was just like, oh, I'm just not going to go.
I'm just going to chill. I don't have to go over there.
Oh, whatever. He didn't want to. I mean, I like Lex Luger, but was he going to do a brutal match like that? Or I guess they would have had a different kind of match.
It would have had a different style match.
That's true. That's true.
Muta's running the ropes, Sting with a leapfrog, and then monkey flips Muta. Muta regains control with an eye rake before tossing the Stinger to the ropes and misses a roundhouse kick. Sting comes back with a kick to the midsection, followed by a face plant that forces Muta to roll out of the ring. The Stinger follows out, rubber band slams Muta across the guardrail, rams his head against the turnbuckle while on the apron multiple times. One more time, once back in the ring, and goes for the Scorpion Deathlock, but Muta makes it to the ropes. Muta's up with a spinning heel kick, a snapmare, spinning elbow drop for a near fall. Muta with an elbow to the forehead and flips off someone at ringside.
That measured elbow that he does to the forehead is really nice. I just really like that. Also like the little spinning elbow thing that he did on the mat. But yeah, it added some intensity.
Muta then Irish whips Sting for another handspring back elbow, but the Stinger moves, goes for a Stinger splash.
But Muta moves.
Muta's with a backbreaker, goes up for the moonsault, but Sting gets his knees up.
It's pretty great sequence.
Sting goes for another military press, but can't quite get him up, so Muta falls on top of him for a 2 count. Another backbreaker from Muta. Will the third try be good? Sting in with a drop kick to crotch Muta. Sting then comes off to hit a super belly-to-belly suplex for a 2 count. Sting's off the top rope with an elbow drop, but Muta has moved, and both men hit clotheslines. They then both hit drop kicks for a double KO. Muta tries for a hip toss, but Sting blocks and reverses into a backslide pin attempt for a near fall. Stinger picks Muta up for a body slam, but is cradled for a 2 count. Sting locks on the Scorpion Deathlock once again, but again Muta makes it to the ropes. Muta's rolling out to the floor. Sting slams his head on the guardrail before rolling him back in. Sting with the Irish whip and follows in with a Spinger splat. Muta spits green mist.
It's so perfectly timed.
Muta's off the top rope with the crossbody for the pin and the win. Post-match, Pillman and Steiner jump in the ring to check on Sting, but the Stinger gets up, grabs Muta, hits the Stinger splash, and locks on a Scorpion Deathlock until the Young Lions can pull him off.
Man.
Is that all you have to say? After that match?
It's like, man. It's really funny and really a shame that when they start this match, JR talks about how Muta spent a whole year in the U.S. and only got pinned 2 or 3 times, which all happened in one night. Yeah. When you buried him, and this is proof of what kind of wonderful things you could have done in your home country and the amount of money you could have drew with this guy. Because this match, if done up right, should have sold out any of the arenas that potentially would have normally been booked by.
If they don't destroy Muta, they could have brought him back as a challenger for Sting, and Sting and Muta could have had.
They could have had that
Steamboat Flair trilogy worth of matches.
They could have had this match 6 times, 3 in each country.
Exactly.
It's gotta watch it. Gotta watch it. Skip Big Cat. Skip Norton. Watch this twice.
Watch the Steiners 5 times.
Yeah.
So we're off to our 11th match of Tatsumi Fujinami versus Ric Flair for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
Double title for title, baby.
And once again, this match is only on the American version that we've found.
Yeah.
We last saw Fujinami at AWA Superclash 3 in a suit and tie. So he didn't wrestle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he showed up. And that was episode 23, one of our favorites. Go and check it out if you haven't listened to it. So I totally forgot to mention this 2 weeks ago at Wrestle War, because it was, the world title wasn't on the line because we had War Games. But after Starrcade, when we saw Flair as Black Scorpion lose the title match to Sting.
Yeah.
Sting still had the NWA title at that time. But WCW decided to start naming all of the belts the WCW title. They basically switched everything from NWA to WCW.
It's all Turner now, baby.
But they only did so after Flair, as himself, beat Sting for the NWA title at a house show in New Jersey. So Flair was officially the first WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
Okay. So this is not for the WCW champion?
It's for the NWA.
This is for 10 pounds of gold?
Heavyweight Championship.
Okay.
We'll talk more about that later.
All right.
Well, that's not Spotch Zarathustra Flair comes out to.
No. I think I for a second I thought it was like a Star Wars theme because it sounds vaguely familiar. It's not Star Wars.
I didn't recognize it. So
no, I didn't either. But it, for a second there, it kind of had a build or vibe where I was like, is this like a Star Wars or like or like trying to rip it off or what? I can't believe they didn't use Spotch.
I was like, why wouldn't you play Spotch?
It
makes no sense.
I don't get it.
The national anthems of both countries are played once everyone's in the ring.
Yep.
And the two men shake hands to get us started.
Oh, don't forget that Flair came out with plenty of swimsuit ladies.
As always.
Yeah.
JR keeps bringing up the rules and officiating differences between the two companies.
And what is it here? Because I found it kind of confusing. They're doing the 20... Is it 10 count or 20 count on the outside? Because they're like doing a mix of the two rules.
Yeah, they're doing a mix of the two rules. I think it was the 20 count, but...
The top rope still counts or something like that?
Top rope still counts.
I think that's it.
Possibly. I don't remember.
Fuck the top rope.
But we'll find out what happens. Slower tempo to start us off with headlocks, shoulder tackles by both men, until Fujinami hits a back suplex and attempts the Dragon Sleeper, but Nature Boy makes it to the ropes. Chop fest between the two, a hip toss and a drop kick by Tatsumi, sending Flair to the floor to regroup. Back in the ring, Fujinami running the rope. Nature Boy goes for a hip toss, but Tatsumi reverses into one of his own. Fujinami with a back body drop, but Flair comes right back with a back suplex. Natch tosses Tatsumi to the ropes and misses a back elbow, and Fujinami comes back with a clothesline, but Flair has moved out of the way. Tatsumi with a hip toss goes for a drop kick, but Nature Boy had backed away to not be hit. Flair starts working on the leg, hitting a shin breaker, draping it over the ropes, and dropping all of his weight across the leg.
You gotta soften it up for that Fig 4.
A snapmare goes for a running knee drop, but Fujinami moves his head in time. Tatsumi with a drop toe hold locks on a scorpion deathlock, but lets it go to continue to work on the leg of Flair.
Why'd you let that go?
Tries for a camel clutch, but Natch escapes, sending Fujinami to the ropes, missing a back elbow and receiving a clothesline on Tatsumi's way back. Inverted atomic drop by the Nature Boy, a snapmare goes to the top rope, but Fujinami meets him there to be press slammed off. But Flair worms his way to the apron, guillotining Tatsumi on the top rope. Natch drags Fujinami out to the floor, slamming his head on the guardrail, and Tatsumi falls over it outside the rails. Fujinami finally makes his way back to the apron, Flair with another guillotine across the top rope multiple times. Tatsumi makes his way back in, and they begin a chop fest. Nature Boy fires back with an elbow to the head, but an Irish whip is reversed, and Fujinami hits a back body drop. Swinging neck breaker by Natch, running knee drop, butterfly suplex for a 2 count.
These guys are really just like meeting each other. Like it's pretty 50-50. And they're all getting good shit in on each other.
We get a stalling vertical suplex to show off that strength by Flair. Elbow drop, running knee drop for more 2 counts. More chops between the two men. Natch with an eye rake, a snapmare. He goes to the top again, but this time Tatsumi is able to press slam him off. Fujinami with the Irish whip to get the Flair flip, landing on the apron. So Tatsumi with a drop kick to send Nature Boy to the Flair.
Yeah, didn't even let him run across. Didn't even get there.
Fujinami slams Flair's head across the guardrail multiple times, which busts him open, and rolls him back in to continue the attack with mounted punches, and we get the Flair flop.
Oh, the angle on the flop's real good. It's a long walk before that flop.
Like, he literally walks almost all the way across the ring.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, we've seen a lot of flops, but this is a good flop.
Tatsumi tosses Natch to the ropes and goes for a big boot, but Nature Boy catches his rope so Fujinami hits an enziguri for another Flair flop. A back body drop and a clothesline by Tatsumi for a 2 count. Flair starts firing back with chops, right hands, but Fujinami fights back, knocking him down. Irish whip for another Flair flip, but he doesn't make it over, so he lands in a tree of woe. So Tatsumi fires away with stomps.
Yeah, you could tell that, like, Ric Flair set this. It was not the smoothest transition into the tree of woe, but it doesn't matter. It's okay.
Nash goes for a vertical suplex, but Fujinami floats over, goes for an O'Connor roll for a near fall. Back suplex by Tatsumi, goes for the cover for the pin, and no! Flair gets his foot on the ropes. The two men roll out to the floor and start brawling around ringside. Nature Boy rolls back in, followed by Fujinami and the ref, when Flair goes for a forearm, but Tatsumi ducks, and the ref is down.
Oh my god. You mean Bill Alfonso.
Fujinami cradles Natch, but no ref for the count. Flair goes for a hip toss, and Tatsumi reverses into a backslide, but still no ref. Nature Boy goes for a body slam, another cradle by Fujinami, still no count.
I love that Fujinami, gets the pin on him,
multiple times.
Yeah, 3 or 4 times.
Flair with an eye rake starts running the ropes, but Tatsumi back body drops him over the top rope to the floor, right where the ref is being helped at.
See, that's the other thing. It's over the top rope, so it should have been disqualified at that point.
Should it have been?
I mean, I don't think so, because I think that rule is bullshit, but it is what it is.
Natch is back on the apron, is brought back in with a vertical suplex by Fujinami, goes for a guillotine pin. Tiger Hattori's rolled into the ring and makes the count for the pin and the win. And new. Post-match, Flair is arguing with the original ref, Bill Alfonso. Fujinami's lifted up on the shoulders of some of the young lions and is presented a trophy.
Hell yeah, he earned it.
And Tony tells us that Alfonso was pointing to himself as he walked back to the ringside. Or walked back to the locker room.
Yeah. Pointing to himself?
Yeah, he was like
I was the ref.
I got you, yeah. We then go to JR. He's in the press conference room. And we get Sting, who's very mad and wants a rematch with Muta. He never expected a face full of mist. And this isn't great competition.
It's honestly probably one of the better Sting promos we've got. I think it's because he's visibly not on cocaine.
And then JR's talking about Alfonso not having made the count in the main event and Flair being tossed over the top rope. So Nature Boy storms into Fujinami's press conference yelling. He steals the world title.
He rips it from his hands. He's like, nah, this is mine.
And as he's running off, Tony all of a sudden is in the shot where he's not supposed to be. And JR walks up to Tatsumi, who, if he understands English, and Fujinami says, I got 1, 2, 3. I am winner.
He was.
And then the logo comes on the screen as the video ends. So, the main event was presented very differently in the two countries. First, it was the NWA World Heavyweight Championship on the line, not the WCW, even though they're considered the same belt in the United States. Okay?
Yeah.
Second of all, JR and Tony said that the IWGP title was on the line, but no mention of what that was ever made by the ring announcer to the crowd in Japan. The title change, third, was ignored in the United States.
Yeah.
claiming Fujinami had been disqualified for throwing Flair over the ropes, while in Japan, Tatsumi became the NWA World Champion. So the title change was never recognized by WCW, and only recently has been recognized by WWE when they were adding up Flair's all his World Championship reigns, basically. They did it to give him another one, basically. So, those huge differences...
Yeah, I mean, they make sense.
Spoiler alert, we're going to get a rematch.
I mean, I hope so.
To reunite the titles, basically.
Yeah. That's all fun. It's funny, I mean, it's kind of great that they both went over in their respective countries and still had a great match.
We'll see what we think about that match. But give us your overall thoughts of the entire WCW New Japan Super Show.
Like I said, all the good stuff is good, and all the bad stuff is short, and you see a lot of talented people do a lot of fun things. Some of the good stuff
is short.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some of the good stuff is short. But I would say you could skip the dark matches, but some of the dark matches I don't feel that way about.
Well, they're not dark matches.
Sorry.
They were just matches.
If you look at
Wikipedia, it says some of the matches are dark.
They're not
but
dark.
But the matches that are on the Japanese version.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, whole show, good time, would suggest.
Agree, completely. If you've never watched Japanese wrestling, this is actually a really good starter video for it. The multi-man tags start off the show fast.
Mm-hmm.
We sprinkle in some junior heavyweights.
Yep.
Great tag team stuff, and finished off with 3 above average matches.
Oh, yeah.
So, what we're saying is...
Watch it. Watch it.
Go find this. Yeah. Watch it. It's very good.
Good. Where's the smart marks at?
There.
All right, fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So, what were your best moments of the evening?
The Suplex City, Steiners, and Hiroshi Hase and Kensuke Sasaki.
Like, literally, they went from a super Olympic slam to a super belly-to-belly to a tiger drive. My heart was just falling in love with
the concept of the
concept of this match. Just as it was happening, I was just like, oh my god. So funny thing is that like I did my notes on this one night, and then the next morning I accidentally hit the wrong button on my computer and thought I lost my notes.
Oh really?
For this match,
and you're like,
for that Steiner match,
and I was like, I'll watch that one again.
That sucks. I was like. But that means I get to watch the match again.
Yeah, it's like, it really, truly is like, well, if I'm going to lose the notes for any of these, that's the one to lose them for.
Exactly.
Outside of that, I mean, Muta Sting is like is the other like real big standout, right?
Yeah.
Like,
because I do feel Fujinami and Flair was an above average match.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it hit the level that you would think that those two guys should hit, because there was, it was kind of like the Horseman match where it just felt like maybe there was just a little bit of a disconnect.
You could tell that Ric Flair was off. There was some stuff that like he didn't even hit, like visibly on camera. Yeah. Like that he did not even hit, and good for JR and Tony for not putting it over for him not hitting it. That was nice.
Yeah, exactly.
But like there was some stuff where I was like, that was out of character for Nature Boy. But I mean, still a really good match, and I would highly suggest the whole show, but like that is by no means the worst thing on this show. It is one of the better things on the show, but it feels like there was like something missing.
Liger, Nogami, 4 minutes that you will absolutely love. I'm gonna try to see if I can find it unedited, because I would like to see that would be
the whole
fun to
thing.
see unedited.
Because I didn't catch that it was edited, but I felt like it was, because he sells that leg like, you know. In 4 minutes, you shouldn't be selling a leg like that.
No, definitely not.
Not unless you started the match hurt, and that's like part of the story, but I don't believe that it was.
I don't believe it was either. How about most disappointing? We'll start with the Equalizer.
Equalizer, easily the most disappointing.
Big Cat, that he just does absolutely nothing in that match.
But, I mean, he's just there to put over Elegante, and the reason Equalizer gets the short end and Elegante doesn't is because Elegante is gets a huge pop, and he's very happy about it, and I don't want to take away from a man's happiness. It's like he's like on top of the world. It's like somebody just gave him the keys to Disneyland.
I feel like, spoiler alert, El Gigante shows up in WWF at some point. And I feel like this match right here, like that pop that he receives from Japan,
is probably
what gets him that contract.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you can't tell me.
I mean, you can't tell me anybody gave a shit about him. Like any of the times we've seen him. We saw him and then he was gone for a whole year because they attempted to train him and it still didn't take. No. The man just is incapable of wrestling. Not everybody can do it. Or incapable, I'm sorry. But yeah, and here, well, he's way over, and I was happy that he got to have a good time because, he doesn't have a particularly successful career. But he's still got one of the biggest pops in one of the biggest buildings that not that we've been in, but, of the shows we watched. So, Gigante, you get the pass. Big Cat, you're always going to get a pass. I know what you're there for. You're there to be a big guy and lose. That's rough. And then Equalizer.
I didn't know anything about you. I don't ever want to see you again.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Best Performer of the Night. I'm going Hiroshi Hase.
Are you?
Because even in a losing bout, he's the one who took the super belly to belly, the super Olympic slam. He hits the Northern Lights suplex.
Yeah. He's definitely the
workhorse.
The workhorse of that tag team. It's hard to pick when all four of those guys bang it out, but I mean, you're not wrong for choosing him by any means.
I was just like, every time Hase was in there, I was just like, this is
my guy.
This is my guy. I want to see more Hiroshi Hase.
Muta was great. And he was like, he's always been intense when we've seen him in WCW, but here it's just a little more. He's on his home turf. There's a shitload of people watching, and he's like having a singles match.
I actually thought the beginning of that match was weird. I mean, I get it that he would go for the pin like super quick.
Well, I mean, he's done that when he's getting over in WCW.
But not usually with like the bigger names that he faced. He usually just did it with
when they were trying to get him over. Yeah. But here he just wanted to get it over with. He's pumped up.
Anything surprising on this show?
I would say for the most part, all the people that should be winning in Japan won. Four Horsemen winning was kind of weird, but that match was weird.
I was surprised that match was not as good as I was expected to be.
I agree completely. It was
almost on the most disappointing.
Yeah, not because it was the worst or anything, but just because it was like
it should be a good match and it wasn't.
It felt like it was lagging. You know what I mean? Like you're playing a video game and it like slows down in all the wrong spots.
Even like Ric Flair and Fujinami not having like a great match.
Yeah, I think that's
kind of surprising.
I'd be curious to see if they had matches before or whatever. Yeah, I assume that it'll like if this is the beginning of a feud that happens, then it's a great start for that. But I like hope that all it could do is add to the next one being better, because we know how that goes with Flair. If you have a trilogy with Flair, one of them's the best, and it doesn't always have to be the first one.
That's true. And now for a look back even further into the history of wrestling.
The dusty finish.
After Antonio Inoki would defeat Johnny Powers in Japan, the NWF Heavyweight Championship would become the major title for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Inoki would hold the title for over a year until he was forced to vacate the title for refusing to face Tiger Jeet Singh in a defense. But a month later, the two men would face each other in Hiroshima at the Big Fight Series on March 13th, 1975, where Singh would become champion. Tiger Jeet Singh, born April 3rd, 1944, in Punjab, India. He would immigrate to Canada, training in Toronto and making his debut in 1965. He would move up the card quickly, challenging for the NWA and WWF championships within 2 years. In 1972, Singh would visit Japan and got into a brawl with Inoki in a shopping center. This would be the start of a major feud between the two men, including Inoki breaking Singh's arm in a match a year before the title win. Singh would hold the belt for over 100 days before a rematch in Tokyo with his greatest rival.
I did not know that Tiger Jeet Singh had been around that long. Watching this match in 1991, I would like to see him in an actual wrestling match. And I might have to hit the old YouTubes later to see that, because what we saw was in a wrestling ring.
No,
but it was a brawl.
Definitely a brawler now.
Yeah.
To hide his.
I'm just curious.
Lack of wrestling
I mean, he didn't
skills
look particularly old. He also didn't look particularly in shape either. But I'm just curious. I assume that if he had all those opportunities, there was something going on outside of him just being, a brawler and a foreign heel.
Next week, Super Brawl 1. WCW, baby.
This isn't rename, right? What's the?
No,
this
that
is
was
just
Fall Brawl.
Okay, so this isn't just an act. This is just the first Super Brawl.
It's a new Super Brawl.
A new pay-per-view.
As WCW moves closer and closer to pay-per-view every month.
Super Brawl 1 it is.
Super Brawl it is. I think the main event's a rematch from this show as well. So
is it? A rematch?
I'm going to go with yes.
Is it Fujinami?
Yeah, Fujinami and Flair, I believe, are the main event.
Ooh.
But on American soil, so.
All right. I bet there won't be 64,000 people there.
Yeah, there definitely won't be 64,000 people. But the music from this week's show is the theme for Super Show 1. And I wasn't able to find Tatsumi Fujinami's actual theme music that he used for this show.
Yeah.
But I found the best one that I could find. And it's called Super Dragon.
So right now.
You're hearing it right now.
Super Dragon.
It's a pretty good song. I like it.
I haven't heard it yet.
I'm gonna listen
have to listen back. Yeah, it's in the air.
You can always rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. Give us those 5 stars or no stars. Leave us a review. Let everyone else know how you feel about our show. You can always email us at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com with any questions, comments, concerns, just whatever you want to talk about. If you want to correct us on something, we'll take corrections.
This one, I'm sure you can correct every Japanese name we say.
Exactly. Just make sure you give me phonetically spelled things, and I'll try and do better next time. You can always also hit us up on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTOX. We'll talk to you next week.